our boy M. Night Shyamalan.
Okay.
Our boy?
Well, I mean,
Wyatt's boy.
he was talking about. Well, let's go to the first slide. What
did you do?
It's only that first one.
Okay, that's new.
I just wanted to open up strong.
And for people who listen, the slides just cube rotated. It wasn't like a regular faded.
Yeah.
We're on a cube rotation.
Whoa!
Dang it, man.
It's just that first one.
Nah. Why'd you make him have like a little smirk too? You picked the photo with the little smirk.
I looked for a good photo. This was the best one, honestly.
The smirk.
He's not a smiler.
So M. Night was talking some stuff. He was saying, I really want people to go see Knock at the Cabin in theaters.
Okay.
I think a lot of directors have been saying this kind of stuff,
Because
but
they
he's
want
saying,
I
I
don't
don't.
success.
He said, I would prefer if you don't watch it on your iPad. I would prefer if you're not watching it on your computer, right? Because he talks in the article, which I can go to, right here. So he talks in the article. He says, "Let me be super clear. Audiences are dying to come to movie theaters to see great movies." I would agree with that. People do want to see great movies in the movie theater. What are you doing?
He just wants the visual stimulation.
Oh, well, I've got pictures in the slides for that. He says he wants to see people want to see great movies in the theaters. That's all there is to it. If you released Home Alone today, it would be a gigantic hit.
Right.
What is it? He gives another example. Back to the Future. What he's saying is, whether it's released then or it's released now, it would be a hit. But people don't want to, they don't want to watch that on their computer or their laptop. You want to get those experiences in theaters.
Right.
And back in the day, before VHS, if you saw it in the theater, you weren't going to see it again.
Yeah, that's true.
Right? People back in the early 80s, the late 70s even, they saw a movie and they were like, all right, there it is.
Unless you're like my mom, who goes and watches Star Wars: A New Hope like 6 times in the theater.
It was like you see it in the movies, and then you thought, well, I might never see it again.
And let me pay an extra 50
and people
cents
would
to watch it again.
Award shows because you might get to see a clip from the movie.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
So
we don't have that anymore.
I get what he's saying.
Stuff has changed, though. Stuff is changing.
I mean, he's saying like, a bunch of, 500 strangers come together to watch a story together, not to multitask, but to commit themselves. It's a deeper experience is what he's saying. So
Can we scroll past this ad?
yeah.
Well, okay,
that's all there is from that.
I gotta make one note though. If you're gonna run the ads, my dude, you gotta learn the zoom.
Yeah,
method.
you gotta zoom in, but
so we're not advertising all the free advertisements on the sidebars.
I mean, people are gonna find it if they go to the website anyway.
That's true.
So with the coming of the streaming services, and the movie theaters, we're at a new point, and I know we talk about this fairly often, but it's constantly changing. It's constantly evolving because last year was the worst year for theaters in 25 years.
Yeah.
Well, but
the ones
there was
that
still
worked.
COVID going on last year.
Barely.
But people weren't going to theaters because of COVID.
But
that's just ripple effects of people's paranoia.
Yeah, but it was bad for movie theaters last year. And we're not talking about necessarily people going to the theaters. We're talking about box office. One of the worst box office years in a long time. And so, and we've seen this move to streaming, but we've also seen a decline in quality on streaming.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, I mean, especially with certain platforms. So there are certain Netflix shows that seem to be below bar. You have to get someone like Tim Burton to do Wednesday for it to kind of rise back to that Stranger Things level. But for some reason, we're tapering down.
Yeah, it's like they drop 10 things and one thing is good.
Yeah, Amazon Prime, it's the shows you don't hear about that are good. And the ones that are the highest, like,
the ones that they're pushing.
The ones they're pushing are terrible.
Are bad.
And Disney Plus all of last year didn't really put out anything good.
Yeah.
Besides, I guess, Andor.
Right.
That was it.
They're hemorrhaging money.
For sure.
The CEO of Netflix just stepped down.
Did he?
Yeah, like Bob Iger style. Before, like Bob Iger did before COVID.
Yeah.
He just stepped down. Other CEOs have stepped down. The CEO of I don't know. I don't remember which it was, but people are
entertainment industry right now is all over the place.
Oh,
it's
okay.
all over the place.
Can I say something though?
Yeah.
The hidden gem right now, and a lot of people don't know about it. Some do. Paramount Plus, I've recently discovered, has got some good gems, and no one's talking about it.
Okay.
They got the 2 spin-off shows of Yellowstone, right?
Yeah.
They're both really good. The Offer,
Yeah.
about the making of The Godfather,
Well, that was
is really freaking good.
But they were
I'm just saying,
advertising that last year.
They got a
when it was coming
library
out.
that no one's talking about.
Right.
And they're not advertising.
Yeah, I would
You
agree.
would think it's like really low quality, low budget kind of things. They're not. They're really good.
So with this, but that's part of the issue. There's so many streaming apps.
Right.
It's like, where do I go to find stuff? What do I and now we've introduced ads. So essentially, it's TV again.
On the internet.
I'm curious if you guys think, like I do, I think there's a streaming bubble. There's a streaming bubble, and it's building, and it's gonna burst.
But where's that?
No.
Where's the burst going to take place?
I don't know. I don't
YouTube?
know what's no. YouTube isn't. I don't count in this.
Okay.
I'm talking about the streaming services. There is a bubble. It's gonna burst, but I don't know how.
Well, I don't know what you mean by bubble, but like outside of the movie theater, the only way to watch a movie now basically is a streaming service. If you rent
can
it or
buy
buy
the
it,
Blu-ray
but
or the DVD.
You can buy, but I would say 98% of people are not going to buy a DVD
because they don't
copy
have a
these
player.
days.
They don't have a DVD player.
98% of people aren't going to buy a physical copy. They'll buy a digital copy or they'll put it to their Amazon account.
Because they got the Fire Stick or they got the smart TV. They don't got that
But
hard copy.
what's
DVD
the evolution, right? Because
Yeah.
Netflix was the evolution. Netflix was the evolution of watching movies and TV.
But the thing is, not everyone followed Netflix model.
Right.
Everyone followed freaking Hulu's model.
So
But
what
it
you're
was-
saying is
it
Netflix
was-
might be going under?
What
I predicted
No,
this?
what I'm saying is, what's the next evolution? Because when the bubble does burst, I don't know how. I don't know if it's going to be monetarily or if it's going to be people changing what they do. Or I don't even know if it's going to be a crash in the market. But there's going to be an evolution of some kind for streaming.
Honestly, this is what I think. And I was thinking about this today, actually, before I knew we were talking about this. I got advertised a bundle package. There's an app where if you have you get Hulu, you also get ESPN Sports, you also get this, and you get Disney Plus, and it's all connected. There's going to be an app that bundles your streaming services into one.
And I remember I predicted that.
The
Boomy, right? That was my working name.
Wait,
it was something that bundles all of your stuff and gives you options. Now the reason
you watch things and it charges you for those things as opposed to just paying for multiple catalogs of stuff you're never going to watch.
So the thing with the Hulu, ESPN, Disney Plus bundle is Disney Plus is hemorrhaging money. Disney Plus isn't making money. It's costing Disney money.
Right.
And so they've bundled it with Hulu and with ESPN so that they can share the things that are on Disney Plus to Hulu and hopefully get more eyes on it.
Which, if we think about the viewer, that's not a bad idea for families.
Yeah.
'Cause you got Disney for the kids, ESPN for the dads, and Hulu for the mom's reality TV.
Right. It's not a bad idea.
You mix the three, ESPN for the football, right? And the sports.
Mm-hmm.
You got it all.
But I mean, what are we seeing from HBO Max? For every, House of the Dragon or Last of Us they put out Velma as well.
But that's that's a recent.
That's a recent.
They've been doing it. They put out something bad.
Yeah. No, you're talking about
HBO.
I got lost for a second with it. That's a recent. You said HBO.
Yeah.
For every HBO's good, been for the every, most consistent.
It has, but they're doing things that like they cut their entire animated catalog.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, right? Because they
in-house animation. Mm-hmm. And then when Velma came out, they were like, "Oh, this is the #1 for our animated shows." You only have one.
That's just bad strategy.
I mean,
though.
Adult Swim is kind of at is
get your thought out, bro.
Is not doing great right now with canceling a few shows, getting rid of Justin Roiland, and their Adult Swim thing is not great right now. So they're not good on animation, but their live action stuff is fantastic.
Yeah, but what I'm seeing
Swim's live action stuff. Are you talking about HBO? Okay, yeah.
Which owns the HBO. Warner Brothers owns
Adult Swim. Yeah.
So what I'm saying is, no matter which app you go to, I think people are scrambling.
There feels like there's a touch and go spirit with the streaming service.
I don't know what I'm doing. Oh, here's my next question. What are movie theaters going to do?
I have a prediction.
Because if the streaming apps have to evolve, so do movie theaters.
I have a prediction. And I think it's a good one.
Mm-hmm.
All right. I'm assuming you have a prediction as well.
I have thoughts.
Okay, here's my initial thoughts. I think, go with me, all right? We are moving closer and closer to a world that resembles the Dune universe.
Okay.
Go with me here.
Mm-hmm.
There's a hipster or disconnected spirit that works inside of the benefit of high technology, okay?
Mm-hmm.
Because as time goes on, we are going to realize, yes, AI is helpful. Yes, technology is helpful. But we're already at the beginning of seeing, like, we've been saying being super connected is a problem. Now we're saying being super connected is a problem, and we have to start making a difference. So we're moving towards kind of a Dune-esque view of the world, which is utilize technology and AI and all this, but kind of like keep a disconnected day-to-day. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And if you watch the show or you read the books or something, you get that vibe. So if we're moving in that direction, I think theaters are going to become smaller. They're going to be community-oriented, and they're going to probably be household-oriented, meaning if you are able to build a small theater and get 30 people there to watch, you will have access to a new release. But and then because we can't work, it's not going to work on this large scale that it always has been.
Mm-hmm.
People are too paranoid. They don't want, and also being a little bit more antisocial, they don't want to watch a movie with a bunch of strangers anymore. They want to watch a movie with loved ones.
But how does that help? How does that help the movie industry?
It does, because there are going to be thousands, if not millions, of new smaller theaters that pop up everywhere. You have smaller audiences, but similar or larger numbers. Because if there's like a little subdivision, right?
Mm-hmm.
And they have a theater, and every week they play, one of the big new releases, that subdivision brings in, I don't know, $100,000 for, a week playing of a certain show. Because they have, I don't know, 500 people that came and watched the thing. $100,000 has been inflated. But neighborhoods, communities, building small theaters, and it also reinforces this idea of family time on a smaller scale where we go and watch our movie instead of just watching movies all week long inside.
Yeah, this is off the track just a tiny bit, but not. Does, like, Noonan area or, like, down in Georgia, like the small town, is there a small theater down there? I'm just thinking of Arsley. I mean, Ardsley, Sylvia.
Yeah.
We have several big theaters.
Big, so like Regal stuff, but you don't have like a small,
like Tinseltown type stuff.
Old theater that is just like in a back corner of like a small town.
I mean, we used to like the Dollar Theater.
I think I
don't know if that still runs though.
Look, I think the only way we're gonna get back into big theaters is going to be IMAX and 3D. That's the only reason we're going to be in theaters. We're not just going to go casually watch a movie on a regular silver screen.
Here's my prediction. Theaters,
but it's been that way for a couple years now.
That's what we're saying, though.
Theater companies are going to start funding indie creators.
You think?
I think so. I think bigger theater companies with the way that streaming is and the way that movies are right now, they're going to start funding or giving incentives to indie creators for stuff that is
in the indie market.
In the indie market, yeah.
So the theater's like, hey, this is our film made by this creator, and they're supporting the indie market, and now the indie market becomes mainstream.
Right.
Well,
not mainstream, but they're going to give incentives so that indie stuff is in movie theaters. Because the way they make their money is with concessions.
Right. And I will say this.
That's why they're so expensive.
What you're saying is very similar to the way I think these days.
Well,
and what I think about movie making in the future. So you're not far off, because I'm the next generation of filmmakers as well.